talk a little bit about the problems and the challenges that your product and service provides. I mean, we chatted a little bit about this briefly. What is it that they're experiencing, your customers are experiencing, that you're solving?
Well, I kind of touched on it briefly earlier, but if you try to take 4,000 pages of regulation, which change constantly throughout the year, and then ensure that every part of your organization, which is thousands of people, are operating within those guidelines, today the plans simply don't have the people, the processes, or the systems to do that in a very statistically relevant way. So our customer base, even our largest customers, have a tendency to do point audits to try and ensure that they're staying within the guidelines. So they'll pull very small sample sets of work, whether it's 30 enrollments or 30 claims or whatever that piece of work is, and then they'll take a look at it, manually take a look at it, and determine whether they're actually being compliant or not. And if they find within that sample set that most of the work is compliant, they assume that the thousands of records or hundreds of thousands of records that they haven't looked at are also compliant, and that's where they get into trouble. Because at that point, what the government does is not necessarily randomly. The government collects tons of data from the plans on a monthly basis, and they look for areas of what they believe are compliance risk. And then they'll come in and they'll drop 20 auditors in your lap for 3 weeks, and they'll tear your shop apart and determine whether or not you really are compliant or not. And at the end of that, you're then stuck with having to resolve all the things that they found, or getting penalized, or getting penalized and having to go solve the problem. So our solutions are designed to really identify the risks, help the plans manage the risks through workflow, create visibility to the risks with reporting. And then actually what we do is, once we identify those risks, we use that as an opportunity to build our next product. So for instance, we have a product called Appeals and Grievances, which is an operational workflow that came out of the work we were doing on our compliance monitoring solution. So by identifying that this was an area that the plans were not doing a good job, and we were able to build a solution and now take that solution to market.